So the last few weeks, one of the exercises that I've been using to train my vertical jump is the power snatch. And this is a completely new movement for me. I've never exactly done it before. I guess I've kind of practiced it before, but not really. But ever since then, it's been months since I've practiced that. So it's basically more or less a new movement for me to practice and improve at. So I was thinking going into my first session where I was actually doing it, I was thinking that it was going to take me a while to really learn the movement and really actually get proficient at it. But with also experience on doing the power clean, it also gave me a good idea on how I can apply the same principles or some of the similar principles, because they're obviously different movements with similar principles. They're both Olympic weightlifting movements. The first pull is very similar in both of them, as in you keep the back angle the same while pushing the knees back. They obviously do have their differences, what I will talk about later in this video. Main point is that I got pretty good at the movement pretty quickly. My form, I don't think it's perfect yet, especially with consistency. It's not always perfect, but that just comes with practice and repetition. So I'll give you some tips on how basically I learned the movement a lot faster than maybe most other people do. One of the things might be pretty obvious, but it's to actually focus on the technique rather than focusing on how much weight you're doing, because it's a mistake that a lot of people make. In the gym, they don't focus on their technique. They worry too much about how much weight they're doing. When, in my opinion, all in all, it's more of an egotistical thing if you actually are thinking more about the weight than about the technique, because ultimately the technique is what is going to allow you and give you more access to lifting more heavy weight, because with proper technique you're going to be using all the right muscles and the right coordination and all the right timing, all that will actually allow you to lift more weight. So then if you have improper technique, one, you're not going to be lifting as much weight, and two, you're probably going to end injured or be in some kind of pain because of improper technique. And so that's one of the things I did. I practiced a good amount with the barbell, and I even practiced with the broomstick that I have. Right here, I literally practiced the movement with this broomstick. I would go down here, just practice the movement, look up, do my thing, open up, boom, bam. I practiced the movement just with the broomstick, So if you have a broomstick at home and if you want to actually get better at the movement, I'd suggest doing that. It's, a little bonus tip for you guys. So especially when you're first starting a movement, it's technique over everything. And if you've been doing a movement for a long time and you've gotten up in weight but your technique is still not good, I would suggest cutting back on and ultimately just relearning the movement. And it shouldn't take that long, already been doing it for a while. It's just a few things that you may need to cue or whatever. And then with that, you need to have the ability to learn. And the ability to learn is a very simple concept, and it's literally watching and imitating. So for me, to get good at the snatch, I would watch other people do it, like my coach Isaiah Rivera, or I would watch Olympic weightlifters, not exactly Olympic weightlifters. I would watch just people like tutorials on YouTube, basically, because Olympic weightlifters, most of the time they do the full like the snatch, forget what it's called. They catch it in a deep squat, and I obviously can't do that, and obviously it's not exactly what I'm training for. And I noticed that when someone does a power snatch, the bar is a lot closer to their face, but when they're doing a full snatch, they are going around the bar. They're really pulling it back and trying to like they are like, with the amount of weight they're lifting, they could never do a power snatch with that. They have to get under the bar. And when you look at that stuff in slow motion, you see how much the bar it only goes up a certain amount, and then you see it like stand still for a bit. It's like it's not there for that long because it's such heavy weight that it shows how much power they're producing, because they still can't lift it up too high. But then that's when the technique comes in, that they go under the bar and they catch it. Or with the snatch, they go under the bar, they catch it. And that's why it's so important to have good technique to actually be able to complete movements. And then to get even better at what I just said when it comes to imitation, record yourself and compare yourself to somebody else that's doing the movement, and look side by side, and then see, okay, so this is what I'm doing wrong here, because in this moment he's doing this different. You're gonna be able to see those little differences when you put it side by side, or at least like look at one video and look at the other. You're gonna see the differences. So that's another tip that I have said before and will probably say again, is to record yourself and look back to be able to see, because you're not gonna be able to see yourself and no one's gonna be able to see you unless you have like some kind of coach. You're not going to be able to see yourself, so you may think you're doing the movement right if you're doing the movement like in person without anybody watching. You may think you're doing it right, but in reality you may not be. So it's always good to record yourself. And then I'm pretty sure I said this in my last video, but this one's also important because humans can't think multiple things at once. One cue at a time. Focus on the main thing that you are faulty at, the main thing in the movement that you are not doing correctly, and then fix that first. Fix the main thing first, the biggest thing first, and then you can fix the next biggest thing, and then the next biggest thing, and then and then over time, the more reps you do, the better and more efficient and consistent you will get at the movement. So now a few similarities and differences with the power clean and the power snatch. So the power clean and the power snatch, obviously they have different hand positioning. We don't really need to go over that. One of the similarities is going to be the first pull. The first pull, you are doing the exact same thing when it comes to keeping the back angle straight, or not straight, flat, keeping the back angle the same, flat, and it's the same throughout the whole movement up until you get basically to around your knees, like either like right below or right above your knees. Depending on when you actually start, because it should be like a smooth transition. The bar, and when you do it, the bar should be like right on your shins. Like it shouldn't be grinding your shins, but it should be right on your shins. So you shouldn't be it shouldn't be grinding your shins, because that would obviously not feel good. It should be right, like riding your shins, should be right, like smoothly going along your shins, and then your quads, and then you go to the second pull. And in the second pull is where there's a little bit of difference, because in the power clean and the second pull, you would just cue a jump. You would just jump and then you would get into the catch. But with the snatch, there's a difference. There's a transition in between, like in the second pull, before you actually like do the jump. So the transition is basically where you are like pushing your hips forward. So I can demonstrate right now. Right here in this position is where you're gonna go up, and then there's gonna be a transition here. This is the transition, and you don't want to go under. You don't want to sweep under. You just want to keep the hips at the same level, but then like kind of push them forward basically before you go into the jump. Because in the power clean, all you're doing is you are just jumping. That's all you're doing. But the power snatch, there needs to be that transition before you go into this jump. So I'm gonna show one more time. Go up, first pull, transition, jump. And then that's when you can perform the snatch. And then the third difference in the catch is gonna be pretty freaking obvious. In the catch, you're obviously bringing it up and trying to like go under. For the power clean, you're trying to go under the bar and catch it. But then in the power snatch, you are trying to go up here and then push it up, just like that. You are literally actively pushing up. So when you do this, you have to be actively like when you receive it and catch it, you just gotta like a shoulder press, literally just like obviously like a wide shoulder press. You would just you're pushing up as hard as you can, and you got to keep those shoulders stable, because especially if you're first starting out the movement, your shoulders are going to be a little wobbly. I can show you a few clips here of my shoulders being a bit wobbly, because it is like it's pretty difficult when you first learn the movement. So you have to learn to, when you get in that catch, to keep those shoulders stable and push up and like make sure they stay still, like literally as still as you can. It's decently hard, and it is a lot of pressure on your shoulders, but it'll actually make your shoulders stronger and healthier forward, because I've done it and like my shoulders did feel a little bit wobbly, but now it's like I feel my shoulders are like a little stronger now due to that. And that's actually good for training for your vertical jump and jumping and dunking, because you're doing a lot of stuff with your shoulders. So you definitely need stronger shoulders for your vertical jump. So that's pretty much it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoy. I hope you find it valuable. If you have any questions, please ask in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. That'll be it for this one. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.